Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 1st November. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 12. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, talks offer a ploy for a hard bargain, say separatists. So this is regarding Jammu and Kashmir. We have already discussed that the central government has appointed an interlocutor, a person who would have talks with various sections of Jammu and Kashmir on behalf of the central government. So Mr. Dineshwar Sharma, who is a former intelligence bureau chief, has been appointed as an interlocutor here, and he is going to have talks with various sections of Jammu and Kashmir. But the separatist leaders here have called these attempt for dialogues as a ploy by the central government for a hard bargain, in the sense that though there have been informal attempts by the central government to persuade the separatist leaders to come to talks, but then we have also seen how NIA, National Investigation Agency, is also conducting raids on various properties and accounts of these separatist leaders of Jammu and Kashmir. So that aspect is also going on simultaneously. So we'll have to wait and watch how effective this process would also be, the interlocutors initiative. For earlier, he's the fourth interlocutor appointed. Earlier, 3 interlocutors were by the former UPA government. So this is again, talks have been initiated. Earlier, BJP government, the NDA government at the center had said that talks are futile, but now they have initiated talks as well. But the separatist leaders, one point which they put forth is that the first issue which they have with the central government presently is that they don't acknowledge Jammu and Kashmir as a dispute. So as long as you don't accept that there is a conflict, then conflict resolution is futile. So this is their viewpoint which they have put forth now. Then the next news item is Army to build footover bridge at Elphiston. So we all already know about this incident, the stampede which took place at Elphiston Road Station in Mumbai on 29 September. Around 23 people got killed here, and now a new footover bridge would be constructed here, and the Army's help has been sought in building this footover bridge. Even 2 more footover bridges at Curry Road and Ambivali railway stations would be constructed with the help of the Army. So the first time that Army will help in building a construction work which is otherwise a civil work. Army does indulge in such activities, but those are in border areas, on border roads. But this is the first time that they have been roped in for this footover bridge construction, which has also brought in a little criticism as well from opposition. Then the next news item is 200 dead in North Korean nuclear site accident. So this is regarding North Korea's nuclear test site, Pungre as such. So this is a site where North Korea conducted its 6th atomic test in September 2017. But then it is said because of this atomic test, a series of earthquakes, tremors took place, landslides took place, and more than 200 people are estimated to have been killed. So this news has come forth because North Korea has been conducting nuclear tests since 2006 at this nuclear test site, and this was the 6th test conducted. And this is also the detail coming from satellite pictures as such too. So here it is shown, this is the nuclear test site in news. And this is North Korea, which borders China. Below lies South Korea. Then the next news item is government plans to sell Air India Express together. So we already know that the central government has given its approval, in principle approval, for disinvestment of Air India. So there will be strategic disinvestment of Air India taking place. This Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs gave an in principle approval to it. It is chaired by Prime Minister himself. But then there was also this ministerial group, a group of ministers, GOM formed. This is called an alternative mechanism. So a GOM has also been formed, which is led by Finance Minister Mr. Arun Jaitley. So this is Air India specific GOM formed to decide on the modalities of stake sale in the national carrier, in the sense that how strategic sale of Air India would take place. So the modalities, the procedure would be decided by them. So here the decisions which have come forth in the recent meeting are being discussed. So it has been decided that the sale of Air India as well as the low-cost international airline of Air India Express would be done together. So core airline operations would be sold off together. And this is set to be concluded by June 2018. So this is the news coming forth. So it is said that the regional airline, the Alliance Air, would be separately put for bidding. There would be a separate universe of bidders for it. But Air India and Air India Express would be sold off together. So these are international, flying international. So we have already discussed all these in details. There are various subsidiaries of Air India too, the ground handling subsidiary, the MRO, maintenance, repair and overhaul unit. So all these would also be sold off to prospective buyers. There would be separate universe of bidders and buyers invited for all these subsidiaries as well too. So this is the decision so far. We have already seen Indigo had shown interest and is still interested in buying Air India's international operations. Right. Also, the non-operational assets of Air India, for that also the properties which Air India has, all these would be converted into an SPV, special purpose vehicle. So that would be used to sell it off so that the debt which Air India is in can be reduced. So here you can see the debt of Air India is also shown in detail. Since 2007-8, the debt, it peaked in 2011-12 and now it is declining, but still the losses are in thousands of crores. The next is threefold rise in domestic budget for fight against tuberculosis. So India's domestic budget for fighting tuberculosis has increased for the first time and has exceeded international funding. So domestic resources accounted for 74% of spending for TB in the year 2015. So this in 2016. So this is the news. Also, we have seen that in 2016, India recorded a 12% drop in number of TB deaths compared to previous year. But the incidence of TB drop has been only 1%. So though there is a long way to go, but we have seen progress too. The number of MDR TB cases have also increased. So it is also said this is because of use of molecular diagnostic tests to detect the infection. So since tests have been promoted and they have been used for detecting MDR TB, multi-drug resistant TB too, that is why the now incidence rates are also going high, as it is said. So it's still India is a huge TB capital actually, because India accounts for 32% of the number of people worldwide who die because of tuberculosis. So this is still a matter of concern. The government has put forth this 90-90-90 target for 2035. That by 2035, there would be 90% reduction in incidence of TB, 90% reduction in mortality due to TB, and also 90% reduction in the health expenditures due to TB. So this is a target. Another famous 90-90-90 target is with respect to HIV. So that is internationally accepted by UN, is also followed in India. But this is another 90-90-90 target for TB as well. So you should not be confused. The other one is also given here below. We'll see that also. So this is a further detail of the World Health Organization's latest report on India's tuberculosis burden being shown here. So as you can see, over the years, mortality rate due to TB has reduced. Incidence, number of new cases, you can see incidence has also seen, the green line shows a dip. So this is also there. And then this is regarding the notified cases for TB. So number of females and males suffering from TB is shown here as such. And the budget domestic funding has seen an increase is shown here. Yellow color shows domestic funding and the darker color shows international funding. Then the next news, this is regarding 90-90-90 target for HIV. So here it is 90% of all people living with HIV will know their HIV status, because detection is first and foremost important in case of HIV. So this is a target. Then out of these 90% of all who are living with HIV, 90% will receive antiretroviral therapy. So that is second there. And then another target is that 90% of all those who receive antiretroviral therapy will have viral suppression. So they'll benefit out of it too. So this is the 90-90-90 target for HIV. Then the next news item is Supreme Court relief for self-employed salaried road accident victims. So the Supreme Court, a 5-judge bench of Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court, has given its ruling and has provided relief to families of self-employed and salaried people who die in road accidents, because the Motor Vehicles Act of 1988, the way it computes motor accident claims, the insurance companies, the way they pay accident claims to people who have been self-employed or salaried, is that the idea is that they have no future prospects. So even if they are alive, the income over the years would not see any drastic improvement. So in such cases, the victims at the time of death, whatever the actual income drawn by them, that is the rate at which they are paid the accident claim. So this has been going on for more than 2 decades now, but now the 5-judge Constitution Bench headed by Chief Justice of India, Justice Deepak Mishra, has said that now in a globalized world, private entrepreneurs, high salaries in the private sector all call for changing this perspective, that there is no future prospects for self-employed and salaried people. So that is why it has given new benchmarks and it has given this new guidelines as such for computing motor accident claims for self-employed and salaried people. So based on the age, how much they were earning and how much of that should be added as future prospects has been given. So the details as such are provided here based on the age bracket and whether they are salaried or self-employed. Then next is row over Vishwabharati move to revive Goshala. So Vishwabharati University, you should know, it has historical significance. This is what was originally Shantiniketan, which has been presently expanded as a central university called Vishwabharati University. As we know, it was founded by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore. So here there was a Gaushala, which is said to be unused for last 26 years. But now, since Prime Minister Narendra Modi is likely to visit this university for a convocation, the Gaushala is being revived. So Gaushala is basically a cow shelter. So this cow shelter in the campus, the Vice Chancellor, the Chancellor of Vishwabharati University is the Prime Minister himself. The Vice Chancellor here says that there is BSc Agriculture course which runs in the university and it is for purely academic purpose that the Gaushala functions there. So he also says that it is not a Gaushala in the sense a shelter home for old and unproductive cows, but it is actually a dairy farm. So which has been revived now. So this is there. Basically, you should know about the Vishwabharati University, its history. So Shantiniketan, we know as it was found near this small town called Bolpur in West Bengal. So it is around 180 kilometers north of Kolkata. And this has now been converted into a university called Vishwabharati University. Then next is India moves up 30 spots in World Bank's Ease of Doing Business ranking. So there's this Doing Business report which comes out every year from the World Bank. So Doing Business 2018 report is out, and the World Bank in this latest report has improved the ranking of India from 130 to 100. So it's a 30 position jump which India has seen, which is highly significant. So the government for the last 3 years has been keen on improving its ranking on the Doing Business report, and this has finally paid off. So there are around 11 areas of business as such, and across these areas India has shown reforms over the last year and over the last 3 years actually, because of which this improvement in ranking has come forth. Earlier, we were last among the BRICS nations, but now we have overtaken Brazil. So we come fourth. China's ranking is unchanged at 78. The top 3 in the Doing Business report are New Zealand, Singapore, and Denmark at first, second, and third spots. Russia is the best performing country amongst the BRICS nations. One area in which the World Bank official says India needs to improve its functioning and where India has actually lagged and gone low is enforcement of contracts. So enforcement of contracts 15 years ago took 1420 days. Now it takes 1445 days. So this is what is shown here, the details, that how India's ranking has improved drastically in this 2018 report. And also the parameters on the basis of which World Bank provides its ranking. These are the top, these are the 10 parameters as such shown here. So what we are talking of where India needs to work and improve is enforcing contracts specifically. And also other areas like registering property, etc. Okay. And this is the overall ranking which it gives, and also the distance to frontier score which it provides. Then next is core sector growth hits 6-month high. So this is regarding the 8 core sectors. You should know under Index of Industrial Production IIP, there are 8 core sectors which are significant for infrastructure. So these are called 8 infrastructure sectors, the 8 core sectors. You should know which of these, which of them are they. They are listed down here as you can see. Coal, crude oil, natural gas, refinery products which are required for energy, fertilizers, steel, cement and electricity. So these are required for infrastructure development. So these are called the 8 core sectors, and in the last 6 months we have seen a high presently for the month of September. Details come out every month. The data is released every month officially by the Commerce and Industry Ministry. So for September it has seen a 6-month high. So this is in news. The details are also provided here about how this increase has taken place, and even the monthly details are provided. Right? So every month these news would come for, so you don't need to remember every month how which sector improved and which sector did not do well, but at least you should know which of these are 8 core sectors. There have been questions twice, I think, in the last few years too, with respect to the core sectors. Then next is fiscal deficit touches 91.3% for financial year 2018 target. So for the financial year 2017-18, for the first 6 months of this financial year, means from April to September, the fiscal deficit target or the budget estimate which had been set, 91.3% of this has already been reached. So this is mainly due to rise in expenditure. So what is this fiscal deficit? You should know that the details come out from the data released by Controller General of Accounts. We'll discuss what is fiscal deficit in detail too. Government has to keep this fiscal deficit low. The targets are set for 2016-17 financial year. The target was to keep fiscal deficit at 3.5% of GDP, and this target was achieved. For the financial year 2017-18 presently, the fiscal deficit target is to be kept at 3.2% of GDP. Since 91.3% of this estimate has already been achieved or already been reached in the first 6 months, how would this target be achieved is a question now. So we'll have to wait and watch. This is what is fiscal deficit actually about. Fiscal deficit basically means the government's borrowing requirements. So a budget has to be balanced. So revenues and expenses have to be balanced. So you can see the receipts which the government gets, they can be tax and non-tax receipts, even capital receipts as well. So this gives you the details. Tax, non-tax receipts means revenue receipts and capital receipts. And then expenditure would also be plan and non-plan expenditure. So expenses have to be equal to the revenues generated, but if the revenues generated are not sufficient, then government has to go for borrowings. So this capital receipts is where the borrowings are also mentioned. So the non-debt receipts are fine, but debt means borrowings. All the borrowing requirements of the government is what is meant by fiscal deficit. So fiscal deficit basically is the total borrowing requirement of the government. So fiscal deficit is total budget expenditure minus total budget receipt, excluding the borrowings. Primary deficit is another term which is giving you the details regarding the interest payment. So difference between fiscal deficit and interest payment of the government. So that is the primary deficit. So interest payment is excluded. So what is the basic principal deficit is seen. That is called the primary deficit. And these are the targets As you can see, fiscal deficit over the years are shown here. We had this Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, under which we had set to reduce fiscal deficit over the years, but in 2007-8, because of the global financial crisis, government spending had to increase to boost the economy, and because of which the fiscal deficit target went haywire, and then we have again tried to reduce it and achieved the objective also in 2016-17 of keeping it at 3.5%. So whether now for the current financial year we are able to achieve the target of 3.2% or not is to be seen. The next is cryptocurrencies ICOs under SEBI lens. So first we should understand what are these cryptocurrencies and ICOs. ICOs are initial coin offerings. So then we'll look at the news. So cryptocurrencies, as we have discussed it quite often earlier too, this is a digital money. It is created from a code. So there is no government regulation over it. Government does not generate this money. As we see the legal tender which we see, the currencies used. These currencies are legal tenders issued by the various nationalities, various governments. But then cryptocurrencies are free. They are free of government oversight, and though government want to control them, governments across the world, and they are generated through this internet protocol. They are peer-to-peer monitored. So this is a cryptocurrency. Examples are, the most prominent one is Bitcoin, then there is Ethereum, Ripple. So these are the examples of cryptocurrencies. So how does it work too? It is detailed out here. So a cryptocurrency, actually, when a transaction has to be made from one person to the other, this transaction is completed through this validation. So it's payment done through cryptocurrencies, which is a digital money, which does not actually exist, but it's there in your account. So in your account, in the sense, the digital currency account, this cryptocurrency account. So this wallet, whatever you may have, will have this currency of particular value, which you can buy, which you can generate to, and then based on the transaction which is validated, a verification of the transaction takes place, and this is added to a blockchain. So actually it works through this blockchain technology. Whenever a transaction takes place, this additional block is added to the existing blockchain, and this blockchain is permanent and unalterable. So this is verified, the transaction is verified, and then it's added to the blockchain and the transaction gets completed. So validation takes place through the peer-to-peer review. So this is how it works. It's a medium of exchange. It's stored electronically. It does not actually exist. But then the anonymity which it gives to the transaction, you do not know from whom to whom is the money being transferred. So this anonymity is the one which makes it attractive, and that is why governments are keen on regulating it to ensure that it does not result in generation of black money and is not used for illegal activities. We have seen that Bitcoins were the ones which were demanded in cases of cyber attacks too. So this is the idea. And the another term is initial coin offering. So what is this initial coin offering? You should know that it is someone offers investors some units of new cryptocurrency. So this is new cryptocurrency being offered as such. So this is generally a pre-created token, and it can be easily sold, traded on all cryptocurrency exchanges. So then if there is a demand for them, the value increases. So this is the initial coin offering. So initial coin offering is basically a way to promote or to fund development of new cryptocurrencies. So these are the initial coin offerings. So this have resulted in generation of new cryptocurrencies also and are used as investments. So this is there. Now the question is how they need to be regulated, and in India too this issue has been raised. The government is keen on regulation of these cryptocurrencies and initial coin offering, and even SEBI is looking into this matter, the Securities and Exchange Board of India. So SEBI wants to know whether the existing legal framework, the SEBI Act, is sufficient to bring these entities under its regulation, or does the government have to make amendments to the laws and give its powers under this. The Reserve Bank of India is also of the view that these are securities and SEBI should be the regulating authority for it. cryptocurrencies. These are under government radar and they want to regulate them. ICO, initial coin offerings, is said to be similar to the initial public offering IPO, but these are digital tokens. So these can be converted into cryptocurrencies and they're used to fund startup firms that are dealing in blockchain technology and virtual currencies as such. So this ICO is said to be similar to IPO, and since IPO is regulated by SEBI, ICO should also be, is the viewpoint put forth. But we'll have to still wait and watch. There is no finalization on this matter yet. So it is still before the SEBI also whether they can regulate these entities or not, cryptocurrencies and ICOs. China, for that matter, has banned ICOs because its central bank says that ICOs are illegal public finance mechanism used for issue of securities and money laundering. So they are banned by China. There are startup firms in India too which have been making progress, and they want that the blockchain technology, which has huge potential beyond cryptocurrencies too, that should not be curtailed from its growth. So that's why if there is regulation over them, the technology would not develop to its full potential, and that is why what they demand is there should be self-regulation. So there should be a self-regulatory authority, a self-regulatory organization which should oversee the cryptocurrencies and ICOs. So this is the viewpoint of these cryptocurrency or Bitcoin startups which are there in India too, which have formed their own foundation, Digital Asset and Blockchain Foundation of India, which acts as a self-regulatory authority and has given certain norms, guidelines regarding transactions like know your customer norms, anti-money laundering norms, etc. So this is an issue which has been in news for long and will continue to be so as long as it is decided how cryptocurrencies would be regulated in the country. Then next is the last one, world's deepest lake in peril. So this is regarding Lake Baikal, which is in Russia. So it's under crisis. It is said to be the lake which is holding 1/5 of the world's unfrozen freshwater. So in the Siberian region of Russia, Lake Baikal, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site and has high biodiversity of plant and animal species, many of which are endemic, means are found only in the Lake Baikal. They are seeing drastic reduction. It's a major tourist site too, but there are these omul fish here which are disappearing, because of which the government of Russia has also banned all commercial fishing of omul also in November 2017. So this is what has brought it in news, Lake Baikal. So it's also an algal bloom which is unnatural to Lake Baikal, which has been seen and which is affecting the lake's ecosystem. So it is also said the wastewater runoff from towns into Lake Baikal without proper sewage treatment has resulted in this algae bloom as well. So steps need to be taken to preserve this pristine lake. So here the map is also showing where Lake Baikal lies. It's up here in Russia. So these are the news items. Thank you.